welcome to Let's Get Literary with Jessica Stevens. And tonight's scented candle is a sweet little votive, and it smells like apples and cinnamon. Tonight's book is Fairest of All. It's the backstory of the Wicked Queen from Snow White. Everybody's heard thousands of versions of the story, but not everyone has heard the story of the Queen and why she became so wicked. Where did the mirror come from? Why is she obsessed with it? What is her deal? And this story is finally going to tell us all of that information. This book, surprisingly, I only thought to be kind of intrigued and entertained, but this really tugged at my heartstrings. It was heart-wrenching and heartbreaking because actually the Queen wasn't always wicked. You wonder how on earth, like, Snow White's dad would have ever fallen in love with her in the first place if she was so terrible. She was actually young and beautiful and filled with love and hope, and I think that's the most tragic part of all. So without further ado, let's get lit. The Queen stood alone in her chamber, staring at her reflection in the mirror, which looked back at her rather nervously. No woman could have her life so completely changed and not expect some level of anxiety. She was marrying the man she loved, becoming a mother to his daughter, and she was to be queen of these lands. Queen. She should be happy, but something about the mirror she was holding filled her with a horrid sense of dread that she could not account for. Verona, the Queen's lady-in-waiting, cleared her throat to announce her presence and then rushed into the chamber. Verona's bright eyes, the color of the sky, beamed with happiness. The lady glowed with a light that seemed to come straight from her core, illuminating her fair skin and glinting off her milk and honey hair. The Queen smiled weakly as Verona embraced her. The Queen had never been surrounded by such beauty, nor had she known happiness. Not until she came to this court, and now here was a woman she loved as a sister. Snow White followed Verona into the Queen's chambers. She was a lovely little creature of 3 or 4, with a joyous bounce in her step and an inextinguishable sparkle of happiness twinkling in her eyes. Her skin was fairer than a virgin snowfall, her tiny pouty lips redder than the deepest ruby, and her hair was black as a raven's feathers. She was like a delicate porcelain doll come to life, especially this day, in her little red silk velvet dress. Verona held Snow by her tiny hand, hoping it would discourage the little girl from fidgeting with the beading on her delicate dress. "Snow, my dear, stop pulling at your beads. You'll ruin your dress before the wedding even commences." The Queen smiled and said, "Hello, my pretty little bird of a girl. You look lovely today." Snow blushed and hid behind Verona's skirts, peeking at her stepmother. "Does your new mother look pretty today, Snow?" Verona said. Snow nodded her head. "Then tell her, dear," coaxed Verona as she bent down, smiling at the coy little girl. "You look very pretty too, Mama," said Snow, melting the Queen's heart. The Queen opened her arms to the child, and with Verona's gentle encouragement, Snow moved forward to accept the Queen's embrace. Snow was a little bird of a girl, such a lovely creature. It tugged at her stepmother's heart, as if the child's beauty hurt her deeply. As she took Snow in her arms, she was filled with a love she had never known. She thought the weight of that love might cause her heart to burst, and in a secret place buried deep within her heart, she wished somehow she could absorb the beauty of this child, so she herself would truly be beautiful. So, obviously, she starts out with nothing but the best of intentions. She has so much love for this new little girl. She's lost her mother. She knows Snow White has lost her mother. They already instantly have something to bond about. She loves Snow White. She loves this chambermaid that she has like a sister. She's finally made friends, and she's found true happiness for the first time in her life because she had a really rough upbringing. She's got daddy issues. She grew up without a mother. She's never really known true happiness or never had a true friend in the world. But as you can see, she's super insecure because beauty is only skin deep. And unfortunately, on the inside, even though she desires and has the potential for beauty, her envy and her materialism and everything that she chooses to focus on that has to do with the outer part isn't quite equal to the power of the beauty that's on the inside. I would highly recommend this book. If you're a Disney lover or if you just love fairy tales, please go check out this book from your local library. Fairest of All is definitely worth it. Do yourself a favor, go get the book. If you watch from this moment on, I am going to get into the spoiler alert and we're going to dish about some of the things that happen in the book. Let the spoilers begin. Okay, so obviously in the beginning, it's so beautiful, it's touching your heart, but you also know the story of Snow White and you know what's going to happen in the end. So with that in mind, you're reading all along the way being like, oh my gosh, like, what is it going to be? Like, I can't possibly see how her heart could turn sour at this point, especially when those 3 creepy witches come, the cousins, and they're being all like sneaky, trying to frame Snow White. And then the queen, she steps up. She is not about to let that happen. And she stops her husband, totally puts everybody in their place, banishes those creepy ladies, and totally protects Snow, takes her in her arms, and lets her know that she is her mother and she is there to protect her. Unfortunately, what those 3 sisters set in motion could not be undone. She became feverishly sick over the magic mirror. You learn that it's her dad, and then when you know what an abusive relationship she had with her father, then it kind of starts to make sense why she's so obsessed with hearing the magic mirror telling her that she's the fairest of all. This is kind of an obsession of hers. It's kind of making her vain-minded, but she certainly still loves the king and her daughter. It's not taking her away from that, and it's not ruining her life just yet. But at the unexpected loss of her husband, this is when things take a turn for the worse. I like how it stayed in line with some of the exact scenes and imagery that we saw in the Disney cartoon. Like the image of the poison apple, like dipping in and having the insignia of the skull, and the raven that was in the room, like little details like that that were calling it back to my childhood memory, being like, oh my gosh, I remember that part of the movie. And speaking of that, I always wondered why the heck Snow White was singing like, for the one I love, at the well, and then this man comes up and she's like, ah, and like runs away as if she's never seen a man before. But in this book, they address that, saying that wasn't the first time they had met. They were already in love, but her mother had threatened her and threatened him. So when she saw him coming on horseback and greeted her, she went running away like that because she was trying to protect herself and protect him from her mother's wrath. That made a lot more sense to me. So yeah, I appreciated that. Unfortunately, when the mother locked herself in her room and refused to come out, and it just pulled her and Snow further and further apart, it was reminding me a lot of how she explained her father after her mother had died. How he quickly resented her because whenever he looked at her, he thought of the love that he lost, and that's kind of how she became with Snow. Although she wasn't as evil, she definitely still loved Snow to the bitter end, and even then some, which was really twisted and sad. It was just the story of a broken woman from a broken home who never got the help that she needed. And then in the end, when she brings the apple, that scene was just tearing my heart apart when she was looking for Snow in the woods, and she just had so much hatred in her heart and so much eagerness to hear that she was the fairest. She didn't even care what she was doing. But then even while she's running there, she keeps having these moments of wakefulness where she realizes what she's done and she's horrified at herself. But then she goes right back to being wicked and envious and prideful. And unfortunately, Snow White doesn't see through her disguise. She passes out. And then it shows the part when the 7 dwarves are chasing after her. And in the movie, it shows her like, ah, like running away in the rainstorm. They chase her up and she falls off a cliff. And you're like, well, good riddance. And it doesn't really show her thought process. You just think that she met an untimely death. In the book, it's telling us all about how she had a chance where the 3 sisters appeared to her and they're like, we're sorry, we were lying, we're not kidding at all this time. There is an antidote to your ugliness. If you come with us, you can keep living, we'll help you. So she has a chance to become beautiful again. She will be fairest in the land. She'll get everything she ever wanted, and she can be safe. She doesn't have to be killed by these dwarves. But then she decides, and oh, it just gave me chills in the book when she was saying she had chosen her path long before, and she decided to go up the path when those sisters warned her that that would lead to certain death. She was so ashamed and sick about what she had done, she just wanted to end it all. So that made me really sad, especially when we heard about the curse that even after death she would wish for it and it would never come. I thought that meant that she was just putting herself down into eternal torment. But then on Snow's wedding day, when she opens the gift by the fire and she's nestled up and she has such a kind heart, Snow White, the kindest of all the hearts, still loving her mother, still seeing through her brokenness to the lovely woman that was there before. She imagines her mother as if she were already dead long before when she was losing her mind, so all that stuff had never really gotten in and damaged her. She remains undamaged. And when she looks in the mirror and sees her mother's spirit, but instead of her mother being like her father in the way that he was in the mirror to curse her and to torment her eternally, she is there finally put together, whole, at peace, ready to give her the love and the advice and the companionship that she deserved when she was alive. So that really, really, really broke my heart and put it together all at the same time. It was a really confusing feeling. It was just so, so many emotions about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Share this video with any Disney fans, Disney lovers, or anyone who would definitely want to hear the story of this powerful classic tale with a twist. Thanks for watching again. Have an excellent day. Love you guys. Thanks for getting lit with me, and get booked on Fairest of All. I highly recommend.